What's up, everyone? The end of the year is now upon us, and that means that we are on the clock. That's right. That time of year has now come where if we're thinking about Roth IRA strategies, conversion strategies, contributions to employer retirement plans, any type of end of year tax planning, capital loss harvesting, capital gain harvesting, we are all on the clock. And that means that time is getting really short with any of our service providers to make sure that they are able to execute any of the strategies that we would like them to before the end of the year. And so it is very, very, very important that if you've been thinking about doing something, if you haven't already initiated those actions, we are coming down to the wire. So this is just my urge to you, my encouragement to you, that if you've been thinking about something or if you're planning to do something and you haven't started yet, please do not put off to tomorrow that which can be done today. It is time. The scoreboard is counting down and we are almost at all zeros. So please reach out to our team if there's something we can help you with or something we can advise on. We'd be happy to do that. We don't want you to miss an opportunity just because the clock ran out. A word of caution. A lot of people like to think, well, let's just get past Christmas. Do not do that. If you are waiting to think like you'll do something in the very last week of this year, there is a really good possibility that you will not be able to get it done because service providers are people too. And they take holiday, they go visit their families, and they're going to be running pretty thin for the remainder of the year. In fact, many of them have already put out their communications to us saying, hey, don't wait till the last minute, because if you do, there's a chance that it may not happen. So I'm just passing that on to you. I hope that you understand we want to do everything in our power to make sure we get our 2024 strategies in place and finalized. We don't want you to miss that opportunity. The next thing that I want to talk about is something that I refer to as unforced errors. So I'm a big sports guy, and one of the things that is so difficult to see is when you're watching your favorite team or you're cheering for your favorite athlete and they're in a big match or they're in a big game and they shoot themselves in the foot. They fumble the football, they make a boneheaded decision, they take a bad shot, and basically they beat themselves. Well, guess what? We tend to do that ourselves when it comes to our personal finances. We will sometimes deviate from our own plans. We will deviate from financial things that we consider to be timeless financial wisdom and decide, you know what? I'm going to do it this way. And one of the main things that we want to do is eliminate or minimize unforced errors as long as possible, because the more we can make those consistently good decisions, right? Consistency, good decisions over time compounds in our favor, and we want to do that. The reason I bring up unforced errors is because it's that time of year where people tend to be feeling really good. We are in year 2 of a bull market. A lot of portfolios, especially equity investors, have been handsomely rewarded over the last 2 years. We survived a contentious election this year, and basically America has taken a sigh of relief. No more campaign ads are on TV. We all know what the next administration is going to look like. We are in, generally speaking, a good place financially. The economy appears to be strong. The market is up. Things seem to be going well. However, this is one of those times where we get a little bit itchy when we get to thinking like, well, maybe I'll try this, maybe I'll try that. Something that is outside the scope of your financial plan. And it's okay to be thinking outside the box. It's okay to be thinking about doing things different. There's nothing wrong with that. What we want to avoid are those unforced errors. And one of the things that creeps in, especially when the market has been going well for us, is this little bit of overconfidence, or this what we call recency bias, where we basically tend to latch on to what's been happening most recent and think that that's going to continue in the future. We all do it because it's part of a subconscious bias that we have. And I cannot stress enough that this is the time where we want to be thinking about Are we doing the right things? Are we blocking and tackling? Do we have the fundamentals down? Let's not do anything crazy and create an unforced error. Let's stick to our plans. Let's execute on our plans. And let's make sure that we continue to stack those good decisions consistently over time. And with that, one of the things I want to bring up is this idea of giving ourselves a fire drill. So I don't know about you, but when I was in school growing up, we would do fire drills. At the start of the first week of school, we would always have these drills where they would tell us exactly what we're going to do. If there was a storm drill, this is what we would do. If there was a fire drill, we'd get step-by-step instructions on what to do. But then after that, throughout the year, we would have those same drills, but they would never be announced. And so we'd be sitting in class and all of a sudden, boom, the fire alarm would come on and we'd look around. And then the next thing, like, boom, we had to get up and we had to execute. Kids were getting up, filing, getting out of class, going to our designated exit, getting out of the building. The teachers would come out. They would count us all up, make sure everybody was accounted for, and then boom, fire drill would be over. Now, I was very fortunate, and I hope you were as well, to never have gone through a fire of any kind when I was in school. So that was great. All the drills were just that. They were just drills. But they were important because it helped us have a continual awareness that sometimes things can go wrong. And I want us to think about that as far as our financial plans as well. I just talked about how the market has been going very well. People are feeling good. There's a high level of confidence. And one of the things that I always try to do is, especially for you guys that work with us and talk with our team, is relay the things that we learn as we're having financial conversations, because we talk about money all the time. And one of the things that we're starting to see creep into some of these conversations with folks that are checking out our firm or possibly looking to work together with us from an investment standpoint is there's a little tinge of overconfidence. And one of the things that always gives me pause is when I start to hear these little phrases, these little tidbits of overconfidence creeping into the conversation, because we don't want to forget that our goal is to be long-term investors, long-term capital accumulators. We want to be stacking those returns for us over the long term. But over the short run, the market can be extremely volatile, and it could be very easy for many of us to kind of be lulled to sleep just because we've experienced some really good short-term returns, especially when it comes here to the United States. U.S. markets, U.S. stocks have outperformed global markets significantly over the last decade, and we think that trend may continue. However, we don't want to get so overconfident that we lose prudent asset management, prudent investment principles within our investment structure. So how does that relate to you? Well, I think that it would be a great opportunity over the next month to 2 months to just give yourself a financial fire drill. Let's reevaluate our investment strategies. Let's reevaluate the portfolios that we're using and make sure that we're taking an appropriate amount of risk, and that if we've gotten ourselves a little bit too far over our skis, or if we've enjoyed really good profits and we think maybe now's the time for a good rebalancing, or maybe it's a time to shift a little bit of money over to our income bucket, that's what we want to do. And the reason we want to do it now is we want to do this type of planning, this fire drill, if you will, when things are going well. You can't give yourself a fire drill when the house is on fire. That's when it's whatever you have done, whatever plans you have laid, those plans are going to be in effect at that point in time. So we don't want to wait until there's storm clouds on the horizon and think that, oh, now we can make some adjustments, because the market's already trying to price that in. Markets are forward-looking, and they're trying to forecast future earnings, future issues, future problems that will impact earnings. And so we need to be thinking the same as well. So a couple ways we can look at this. Do you have any major purchases or major events, travel, weddings, anything that you're planning to do, gifts in the next 6 to 12 months? Let's think through that. Are the funds that we're planning to use for that, are they at risk in the market? It could be an opportunity to reevaluate that. Are we planning to retire? Retirement is huge. And one of the things that people sometimes mess up is the fact that we oftentimes will retire when we're feeling really good about our portfolios because the markets have done well. Our portfolio balances are high and we're thinking, you know what, now's the time that I can make a leap. The numbers all look good on paper. And we do that. And then boom, we have a market downturn. So it's critical if you're thinking about retirement to go ahead and give yourself this. Make sure, first and foremost, let me stop. First and foremost, do you have a defined retirement income plan? And I mean, have you gone through the process of putting together a structured retirement income planning strategy for you and for your spouse? If you haven't done that, well, that's step one. Step two is like once we're in the throes of working our plan and monitoring our plan, we want to make sure that, hey, here's where we're at. Here's how things are looking. Am I still comfortable with the level of risk we've got in the portfolios? Do I feel good and solid about my income plan? Do I feel good about my growth strategies? That's all this is. This is time for that financial fire drill, if you will. And if you're not, then it's a great opportunity for you to, let's sit down, let's talk through the ideas that we have and what could be some options that are on the table for you to implement. It's not ultra time sensitive, but these are the types of things that we want to be thinking about, because the time to do a fire drill, again, is when things look great, when we're not feeling bad about things, we're not caught up in our emotions. There's no flashing red headlines on the news media talking about markets in crisis. We don't want to be making significant financial planning decisions when our fear index is at an all-time high. So let's do that. And I want to leave you with this. This is an excerpt from this book, The Black Swan, Nassim Taleb. And he talks about this idea of you never want to cross a river that is 4 feet deep on average. And I love that because so many people, they choose their investments, they build their plan, they build their strategy based on average rates of return. And one of the things we know from retirement research is that average rates of return can be very misleading, because you can have a really poor sequence of returns in your early years of retirement, and that could derail you for the rest of your life. It could be something you can't recover from, which is one of the reasons why we plan the way that we do in our office. We want to protect our clients from that sequence of return risk. But listen to what he writes. He says, even if you agree with a given forecast, right? Because this is the time of year where everyone's making their forecasts. Everyone's projecting 2025 stock returns, what the market's going to do next year. Even if you agree with a given forecast, you have to worry about the real possibility of a significant divergence from it. These divergences may be welcome by a speculator who does not depend on steady income. A retiree, however, with set risk attributes cannot afford such gyrations. And what he's talking about is, yes, we can agree with a forecast. We can agree that something's going to happen, but that doesn't mean that the opposite can't happen, and can't happen significantly to the downside over what has been forecast. We have to always be prepared. It is about having good offense and having good defense. And with that, I'll leave you alone, but thank you for watching this video. Hopefully it makes sense. So again, end of year planning, we're on the clock. Let's make sure if we have any strategies that haven't been implemented, we want to do those. Unforced errors. One of the key ingredients to long-term financial success and reaching your goals is eliminating or minimizing those unforced errors. And that's why I believe having a financial plan makes sense, and why having a financial advisor makes sense. Lastly, personal fire drills. We give ourselves our own fire drill. I love to do this because I think it is a unused tactic or underused tactic by so many people. who put their financial plans in place. Because remember, a financial plan is living and breathing. It's not something that goes and collects dust. Once we start a plan strategy, we want to make sure we execute and we implement that. That also means we monitor and adjust. So give ourselves a fire drill. If we can help you with that, if there's anything we can do, please don't hesitate to reach out to our team. And if I don't talk to you before, I hope you have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Cheers.